In 19th century New York, cobblestone streets resound with the movement of carriages and the murmur of commerce. Gaslight glows against stately brownstones, while inside the Morgan home, the air is thick with the scent of parchment and the steady rhythm of financial discussions. Young John Pierpont Morgan sits at his desk, posture disciplined, eyes focused on a handwritten ledger. Ink stains his fingers as he copies figures, each number a lesson in the rules of trade and finance. Around him, stacks of vintage books and notes illuminate the complexities of mathematics and the mechanics of global markets. Junius Spencer Morgan, John's father, ensures his son's world is rich in opportunity and challenge. Influential visitors from across the ocean share tales of distant markets. Their conversations paint a picture of an interconnected world where fortunes rise and fall on knowledge and timing. At school, John learns in a classroom lined with wooden desks and candlelit ledgers. Studies in double-entry bookkeeping and exchange rates are routine, sharpening his curiosity about the forces that drive international commerce. Occasionally, John joins his father on business trips through London's bustling financial district. Fog swirling around negotiations, trade documents bearing the marks of global exchange. Through early discipline, rigorous education, and glimpses into the world's financial heart, the foundation of a future titan is laid. In these formative years, John Pierpont Morgan is shaped by tradition, ambition, and a vision that reaches far beyond his family's doors. In the waning decades of the 19th century, the Atlantic was no longer a barrier, but a thoroughfare alive with steamships bearing cargo, gold, and ambition between continents. On bustling docks in the heart of New York and London, the trade offices thrummed with urgency, clerks hunched over ledgers, messengers weaving through polished corridors, the chatter of commerce blending with the rapid staccato of telegraph keys. Inside these Victorian interiors, where mahogany desks shone in gaslight and world maps traced new routes for enterprise, a transformation was underway. Among the rising generation was John Pierpont Morgan. Young, observant, and quietly determined, he entered negotiations where fortunes and nations hung in the balance. Guided by his father's legacy, but eager to forge his own path, Morgan confronted the challenge of an evolving financial world. Conversations echoed beneath high ceilings, deals struck with measured words and steely glances. With each telegram received, Morgan sharpened his instincts, learning to discern the subtle shifts of power and opportunity that threaded through transatlantic finance. Beyond the walls, ships pressed across gray waters, bearing not just goods, but the aspirations of governments and industry. As Morgan navigated this world, his confidence grew. He recognized, as only a true financier could, that capital, when skillfully directed, was a lever capable of moving entire nations. On-screen text, Morgan stepped into a world where money moved nations. The American landscape stretches outward, endless plains, soaring mountains, and the iron arteries of steam locomotives carving through the wilderness. In the late 19th century, these railroads were more than tracks. They were the lifeblood of a growing nation, connecting distant cities and small towns, fueling industries and shaping destinies. In this era of boundless opportunity and fierce competition, John Pierpont Morgan emerged not as a railroad builder, but as the master strategist behind their transformation. Boards of directors gathered in ornate corridors, tension crackling in the air. Rival industrialists, once adversaries, found themselves drawn together by Morgan's steady hand and relentless vision. Negotiations unfolded behind closed doors, voices low, stakes high. Animated maps show the web of competing lines collapsing into powerful networks under Morgan's direction. Every merger, every handshake marked a shift in the nation's infrastructure. Company after company, once scattered and unstable, were brought under unified control. Rail rates stabilized, efficiency soared, and chaos gave way to order. In the boardrooms, Morgan's presence was undeniable. His authority set the course not just for railroads, but for the American economy itself. Decisions made here reverberated across thousands of miles. Through determination and negotiation, J.P. Morgan forged an empire built on steel and steam, securing his place at the heart of America's industrial age. In the heart of America's industrial age, steel mills thundered with relentless might. Flames surged beneath towering rafters, illuminating cavernous halls where molten metal flowed in rivers of orange light. Every clang of hammer on anvil sent showers of sparks dancing in the gloom as workers toiled side by side, forging the backbone of a rising nation. These were places of ambition and ingenuity, where sweat met vision and machinery became muscle. Amid the heat and noise, John Pierpont Morgan emerged not simply as a financier, but as a force who believed that industry could be shaped, united, and unleashed. Morgan's resolve was tested in these crucibles. He orchestrated the historic merger of Carnegie Steel, Federal Steel, and National Steel, forging the United States Steel Corporation. A single corporation rose, casting its shadow across continents and becoming the world's first billion-dollar enterprise. Boardrooms became arenas of negotiation. Contracts were signed under gilded lamps, fortunes moved with the stroke of a pen, and alliances were forged with firm handshakes. Beyond the glass, railways stretched toward distant horizons, skyscrapers climbed ever higher, and the sweat and skill of workers fueled the machinery of progress. Morgan was not merely a financier, he was a builder. Through every spark, every alliance, every vision realized, he shaped America's golden age of capitalism. Bridges, railways, and cities stand today as monuments to his ambition. He didn't just finance industry, he built it. At the turn of the 20th century, America's prosperity rested on a fragile foundation. In towering stock exchanges, investors shouted amid a frenzy of numbers, while ordinary citizens watched anxiously from the streets, scanning urgent newspaper headlines that spelled out disaster. Banks, once symbols of safety, became sites of fear as worried crowds gathered outside, desperate to protect their savings. Panic swept through the financial system. Trust unraveled. Every hour brought new rumors, each more dire than the last. As uncertainty spread, the bustling energy of Wall Street gave way to chaos. The threat of collapse was real, and the nation's future hung in the balance. Inside a dim, candlelit meeting room, away from the turmoil, a figure stood apart. John Pierpont Morgan, his presence commanding, his resolve unshaken. Surrounded by the leading bankers of the age, Morgan leaned over the table, voice low but unwavering. He knew what was at stake. The system was trembling. Morgan acted. He demanded unity from rival financiers, orchestrated emergency loans, and pledged his own fortune to stem the panic. Each decision, each signature pushed the nation further from the brink. Tension lingered in the flickering candlelight, but determination grew stronger. Slowly, calm returned. Banks reopened. The lines outside faded. Confidence, once shattered, began to mend. Through decisive leadership, chaos gave way to stability. From those dark nights emerged a lesson that endures in moments of crisis. True leadership can restore balance. Within dimly lit chambers, John Pierpont Morgan convened America's most powerful figures. Shadows flickered across faces as political leaders, financiers, and industry titans assembled, drawn by crises that threatened the nation's stability. Morgan's authority was quiet but undeniable. Around polished wood, voices deliberated paths forward, their decisions poised to shape not only Wall Street, but the destiny of the entire country. In the panic of 1907, as banks faltered and panic swept the markets, Morgan summoned key leaders to his private library. With the government unable to act swiftly, responsibility shifted to his steady hand. The tension was palpable. The choices made here would ripple across the nation. Through hours of careful negotiation, Morgan forged agreements demanding action, securing pledges, guiding strategies that calmed the chaos. Each step was measured, each word deliberate. By dawn, disaster had been averted. The immediate threat faded, but the consequences endured. New policies emerged, industries consolidated, and the lines between business and politics blurred further. Morgan's legacy was forged not in public view, but in these hidden meetings. His influence reached into the very fabric of the nation, ensuring that behind closed doors, he held sway over the fate of America's economy and its future. In the golden twilight of the Gilded Age, John Pierpont Morgan's world gleamed with opulence. Sunlight spilled across marble floors in his Madison Avenue mansion, where masterpieces by Renaissance artists hung beside rare manuscripts. Velvet curtains muffled the city's noise as Morgan moved among jeweled artifacts and first-edition books, his library a monument to knowledge and ambition. By night, the city's elite gathered in glittering salons, exchanging secrets beneath crystal chandeliers. Morgan's influence shaped both fortunes and conversation. Yet outside, political cartoons filled newspapers, depicting Morgan as a towering figure, one hand on railroads, the other clutching gold. In grand reading rooms, scholars marveled at his collections, while in crowded tenements, critics debated the impact of such wealth. Editorialists questioned, did Morgan's monopolies stabilize the nation or deepen divides? Bright gaslight illuminated admirers at lavish banquets, as shadows lengthened, symbolizing unease. During financial crises, Morgan's intervention steadied trembling markets. To some, he was a guardian of progress, to others, a force wielding unchecked power. Morgan's legacy endures, etched in both luminous halls of culture and the sketches of dissent admired by some, feared by others. A black-and-white portrait captures the steady eyes of John Pierpont Morgan, a man whose ambition once shaped the very bedrock of American finance. In that moment, history feels still, yet beneath the surface, a current of transformation is building. Color and motion gradually return as the frame expands. The New York skyline rises, reflecting sunlight and ambition, stretching towards possibility. Far below, Wall Street surges with energy traders move with purpose. Screens flicker with numbers and news. Voices blend into the pulse of the financial world. The city's drive echoes across continents through networks of satellites and fiber-optic lines, connecting ideas and capital in real time. Morgan's legacy endures, not only in the institutions bearing his name, but in the very architecture of modern finance. His daring consolidations gave birth to new industries. His steady hand in moments of crisis fostered trust and stability. Each innovation and risk taken today is a reflection of the foundation he set, where vision, discipline, and collaboration turn uncertainty into progress. Now, the world's markets never sleep. Digital platforms exchange billions in seconds, while investors and entrepreneurs seek the same resilience that defined Morgan's era. The influence of his leadership is present in every boardroom, every trading floor, and every decision that shapes the future. As the city glows beneath the setting sun, the story persists, a legacy not frozen in time, but alive in every advance. On-screen text. His legacy still shapes the world of finance today. J.P. Morgan's journey reminds us that leadership, vision, and the courage to act can create ripples that endure for generations.